Why pay the regular price when you can save money on every purchase with WagerBucks at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo? WagerBucks are now eligible for use on not just daily, 3-day, and 7-day passes, but all long-term and seasonal packages up to 1 full year. There are tons of options available for every budget and size of bettor. From low as $100 gets $110, all the way up to $2,500 gets you $3,000. Save every day on every pick you buy with WagerBucks.
Monday, January 17th, Martin Luther King Day, a little bit of a holiday, a little bit of some NBA action, but of course also some NFL playoff action. And I think maybe for the first time ever, we have a Monday night NFL playoff game. I don't remember one unless there was a rescheduled one back in the past. And going to definitely dig into that. Cardinals, Rams here, Monday night football playoff style. Of course, I am Steve Merrill, not the Prez. He is on assignment for the next week and a half. A little early Christmas gift, he told me, for Teddy Covers, who is here as always, my co-host, WagerTalk Today. And Teddy, we've got a great show, as we always do every Monday. Marco D'Angelo leading it off here in a few minutes. He's going to look at that Monday night football game between the Cardinals and Rams. Also, a little NHL action between the Penguins and his Vegas Golden Knights. Marco is an insider when it comes to the Vegas Knights. Also got some prop action from the prop master from sportsmemo.com, Matt Josephs. He's breaking down the Monday night football game with several props. Of course, in between, we're going to look at a little NBA action, the late night game between the Jazz Lakers, your big game breakdown. And then we're finishing it off with another Vegas Knight fan, Bryan Leonard. He's going to look at some college basketball, though. Don't forget about college basketball. This is the time of year to be playing college hoops. But, Teddy, before we get to all of that information, what did you learn this past weekend? Did you see some bad beats, some bad bets, and some bad for the books over the weekend, my man?
Yeah, it's time for a little bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books on a Monday. 5 NFL playoff games this weekend. Let's do a quick recap of the action because, frankly, there wasn't that much in terms of bad beats, bad bets, or bad for the books. Most of the games got two-way action. Let's go through them one by one real quick. Cincinnati against the Raiders. Early money came for the Raiders. The late money came for the Bengals. The total held at 48.5. And the books did okay. Favorite and under in early action on Saturday. And that was a two-way action game. There was, money for both sides there. The under was a decent result for the house. The Saturday night game, Buffalo and New England. There was Buffalo money in that game. Not a ton. There was two-way action, but a little bit of wise guy money on the Bills. Under money on a cold night in Buffalo. Again, the books did okay. Favorite and over on Saturday night. The Bills get the money. But again, it wasn't one of these disastrous results for the books where everything was on the favorite. And favorite and over parlays. Didn't happen on Saturday night. Decent result for the house. On Sunday, the wise guys pounded Philly before kickoff, plus 8.5 down to plus 7. Under money as well. And again, the books did okay on this one. Even though the public was on Tampa, all that wise guy money on Philly ended up being a fairly good result for the books. On the Bucks-Eagles game, despite the under money in that one that ended up cashing. San Fran, Dallas, another two-way action game. Dallas was as high as minus 3.5 for kickoff at some public shots. And again, the books did okay, dog and under in that one. San Fran, Philly, two popular wise guy choices. The book split out on those two. And then Sunday night, two-way action on the Steelers, Chiefs as well. A little bit of under money in that game that worked out very well for the house. Favorite and over on Sunday night. In terms of bad beats, I guess you can call the Raiders a tough beat. Other than that, pretty much the sides that were supposed to cover the better teams in those games covered the point spread. Nothing funky happened with the total. So not much for the beats standpoint on the opening weekend of Wild Card action. Of course, still one more game to play tonight. There might yet be a bad beat to talk about before Wild Card weekend is through. There you have it, Steve. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. Back to you, my friend.
Yeah, Teddy, I've been doing this long enough. Right before you said it, as I was already feeling, I think we're going to have a bad beat tonight. It's due, right? You almost feel it coming here after kind of a clean Saturday and Sunday in the NFL. And by the way, the public, as you said, I did my NFL Fade the Public video this past week, and I thought one of the most public side, nothing crazy overall, nothing that would have probably qualified in the regular season, but Tampa looked like the most public side to me this past weekend. And like you said, there was some late money on the Eagles. The 49ers had some public love also, yet the late money looked like it came in on the Cowboys, pushed it to 3.5 in that one. And the most public under, the public plays overs, the most public under I mentioned was Buffalo and New England. The Bills went over the total by themselves. So the public was not right on that underplay on Saturday night. And as you said, we do have another game tonight, Cardinals, Rams. My Fade the Public video is still up there right here on this channel, WagerTalk TV. And I do have a public lean on both the side and total in this Cardinals-Rams game tonight. So check out that video. It's not too late to do so. And speaking of Cardinals-Rams, let's bring in Marco D'Angelo. He's going to break this game down for us in detail, Monday Night Football, as he always does. And, of course, Marco, it is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. So anybody that's looking for some playoff action tonight, it's the time to do it. You're getting a substantial discount. Single games are normally 25, 5% plays are normally 35. Not on Monday. $9 Monday for every best bet from every capper right now at WagerTalk.com. And Marco, recap your thought of the weekend in the playoffs. Like Teddy said, I didn't think there's anything too crazy. And do you think tonight might be a little different? How are you looking at this Cardinals-Rams game?
Well, my takeaway from the weekend, guys, and, it's a little bit 2020 hindsight, but got to make the notes. Generally speaking, wild card weekend, you have more competitive games because the teams are closer matched. But remember, we had a different format this season. And, as the games were unfolding yesterday and Saturday, this was more like the second round because you had all of the teams, you had division winners playing, the extra wild card teams. There's only, one team in each, league that had a bye. So the separation, the gap between the good and the bad was a little bit wider, and we saw that this weekend. So something to remember with this new format when we get to the playoffs next year. Normally what you saw this weekend is the kind of results you see next weekend. Now, with that said, we got tonight's game, Arizona and the Rams. Here's two teams that at different points of the season both look like Super Bowl contenders. You had the Rams early in the season, all the talk coming in. They got the final piece of the puzzle. Matthew Stafford was the missing ingredient to get this team over the hump into the Super Bowl. Well, what did they do? They started out the season undefeated, 3-0, and they took care of business against Tampa Bay. And after they smacked Tampa around, everybody was punching those Super Bowl tickets for the Rams. What happened? Well, the very next week, another undefeated team that nobody was talking about because they didn't play anybody, the Arizona Cardinals, come to town and slapped them all over the place. And Arizona had a run for like 7 or 8 weeks where they were undefeated. And then they hit a slide. And uncharacteristically, this team can't win at home. Arizona was just 3-5 at home this season, 2-6 against the spread. But they were the complete polar opposite on the road. 8-1 straight up on the road and 8-1 against the spread. And now they go into play the Rams tonight. I'm going to say something in this game going to make me sound like I'm bipolar, but this is going to be the toughest game for the Rams. If the Rams find a way to win this game, I really think they can make the march to the Super Bowl, and I'll explain why. It all starts with Matthew Stafford. I don't think entering this week of action that there was one player that had more pressure on him than Matthew Stafford coming into the playoffs. Because as I said, the narrative was he's the missing piece of the puzzle. And if you look at the last 3 weeks, the Rams, although they've won 5 of their last 6 games, they finished the last 3 games with 8 turnovers. You can't win playoff games with turnovers like that. You can't win regular games generally with that many turnovers. And the pressure is going to be on him to deliver. He had all those years in Detroit. So obviously he's a seasoned veteran, but he doesn't know how to win a playoff game yet. He's got to do that tonight. I think it's not going to happen. I like Arizona here. I think they're the team playing with house money. They come in, there's no pressure on them. They're on the road. They're where they like to be. Kyler Murray's performed so much better on the road. I'll go ahead, take Arizona plus the points tonight. But you know what I might do? I might just put a 1-unit saver bet on the Rams futures for the Super Bowl. They're a team that, like I said, they get past this round. I think they can make a deep run.
So you like Arizona plus tonight, but you think the Rams might be worth a future if they win tonight? Let me just to clarify.
Yes.
Is that
yes? I do.
I want to ask you this, because there was only one other team in the playoffs that came in as cold as Arizona. Arizona's lost 4 of their last 5 games. They have not played good football down the stretch. The only other team that kind of went slumping into the postseason was the Patriots. And their performance on Saturday night wasn't pretty against Buffalo. Are you worried that because again, Arizona was 7-0, they were 10-2. Now they're 11-6. Are you worried that this was a team that was, maybe they were an October team, not a January team? Or does that season-long track record for Arizona on the highway against good foes stand out to you enough? Obviously it does, to look at the Cardinals here despite their late season struggles.
Yeah, Teddy, generally speaking, and I do this in, the bowl games as well, when there's a team that kind of backs in, I like to take them because to me, they've got nothing to lose. They came in, maybe you could say they got lucky to get into the playoffs, and there's not high expectations, so you can play a little bit looser. Now, very good point in comparing them to New England. The one difference is Mac Jones. Mac Jones finally looked like a rookie quarterback this week. I mean, Buffalo had him confused. He didn't make good decisions. Kyler Murray at times this season has looked like a rookie. I'll admit that. But, Kyler Murray is an experienced quarterback. He's got a couple of years under his belt. And the difference with Kyler Murray, when a play breaks down, and you saw that with Josh Allen, he can save a play with his feet. And that's something that can bail a quarterback out that maybe isn't having a good game, and you keep a drive alive with your feet, and maybe that gains you some confidence. So, yes, it's something to look at, but comparing them to New England, that is the glaring difference between New England and Arizona.
Marco D'Angelo, WagerTalk.com, and Marco likes the Cardinals plus the 3.5. Money line is currently about plus 155, plus 160 to win the game outright, as small dogs often do if they cover. And as Marco said, they were 8-1 straight up in ATS on the road this year. And by the way, Cardinals have only covered once the last 10 head-to-head meetings against the Rams. They're 1-8-1 against the spread, but that one win was the outright road underdog win earlier this season in this same situation. So they did get it done when it counted on the road. So we'll see how that one plays off. Once again, it's nice to have Monday. I love this format, by the way, guys. Monday Night Football playoff action. I think it's a great move. 8:15 Eastern tonight on Monday. Marco, before we get you out of here, I want to ask you about your Vegas Golden Knights. Interesting situation here tonight. They're playing, I believe, their 7th straight home game, ending a long homestand here, whereas their opponent is playing their 6th and final road game in the Pittsburgh Penguins. First of all, you've got to be conflicted here. You've been a Pittsburgh Penguin guy your whole life, correct? And now they're playing your Vegas Knights. So I got to ask you about that. But also, how are you handicapping this game? You've got one team ending a long road trip while another team's ending a long homestand. Do you see an edge for one situation here?
Well, I'll address the first question. I'm going to give you the Vegas Golden Knights tonight because my money goes with my head. I will be wearing my Sidney Crosby jersey at the game tonight because, I only get to do it once a year when they come to town. And full disclosure, it pisses my wife off whenever I do that and wear the Penguins gear to the Golden Knights game, but that's what it is. You talk about this one, Steve. You're exactly right. The Penguins are finishing up a long road trip. This was a 6-city road trip for them. It started out going east to play Philadelphia and then go to the West Coast and finish up in Vegas. And you know what? If you're going to finish up a vacation, what better place to do it than Vegas? So I'm going to go with the Golden Knights here. And you talked about that long homestand. The thing about that homestand is the Golden Knights lost 4 of their last 5 games. And 4 of those games were played in a 7-day period. Not a good scheduling spot for the Knights. They were playing a lot of games, just one day off in between and so forth. And then they had a very emotional game 2 games back. With all those games in a close period of time, then they had the Chicago Blackhawks come to town. And if you follow hockey, you know that was a big game here in Vegas because it was the return of Marc-Andre Fleury. Very emotional game. The Fortress here in Vegas was just electric that night, and you saw a hell of a hockey game. 2-1 final. The Blackhawks won. So It was a gut-wrenching loss for the Knights, emotional game, and then what happens? They had the old carryover effect in the next game against Toronto. I like to use the phrase that my buddy Dave Koken used on a radio show all the time. I think the Knights lost the Blackhawks game twice. They came out flat against Toronto in that last one. The best thing that's happened to Vegas is they've had a break. They had a game canceled a couple days ago, so they have had 6 days to rest and recuperate. Now, they're still short with players that are out and some people on the COVID list, but they are going to be a rested team against the team that's been on the road for a long time. And I've got 2 key stats that favor the Golden Knights. And the Golden Knights, the last 3 seasons, when they've played 5 games or less in a 14-day period, remember, they've been off for 6 days, they're 23-6. That's an outstanding record. And here's another one. Since they came into the league, granted, it's only been 4 years, but since they've been in the league, after 2 straight losses by 1 goal, they are 13-2 in their next game. I'm going to go ahead and bet the Golden Knights tonight. I'll be rooting to cash my ticket, but I will have that Sidney Crosby jersey on. So don't throw anything at me if you see me at the game.
So, I mean, the Penguins are hot, right? The Penguins are, 12-2 their last 14 games. They've had a great road trip. Vegas had a COVID layoff, struggling in a lot of ways, and this is a pick'em game. I'm just curious why this isn't one of these, hey, ride the hot team and fade the team that's slumping right now, the type of scenarios.
Well,
you think that the layoff actually helps Vegas? A lot of times people say that first game back off a COVID layoff doesn't help all that much. Explain that thought process real quick for us, Marco.
Okay, well, 2 things on that. First of all, yeah, the general consensus theory is the long layoff doesn't help. We saw some big upsets this week at monster prices, teams that came off of long COVID rest where everybody just thought they were going to get blasted and they didn't. Second, you pointed out the Penguins are hot, 12-2. Yeah, but they're 2-2 in their last 4. In those last 4 games, Teddy, they scored just 2 goals in 3 of them. So all of a sudden, they're not putting the puck in the back of the net. And I do think that this is a push the reset button for the Golden Knights. There's a lot of excitement with this team right now because Jack Eichel is very close to joining this team. The big trade that they made, he's been on the injury list, and it's going to change the complete dynamic of this team when he is on the ice. So I think there's a sense of excitement here in Vegas right now of what this team is going to be. So that's why I'm riding the Golden Knights tonight.
Yeah, and guys, and one thing I've seen just like in college basketball, teams that have had these extended layoffs have shot very well offensively. And we saw it again with the William & Mary Tribe this past Saturday. They missed 3 straight cancellations the last 2 weeks. They shot over 50%, scored like 30 points in the first 9 minutes. Of course, found a way to lose. That's a different story. But yeah, it doesn't seem like these layoffs are hurting the offenses of a lot of these different sports teams, especially in college hoops that I follow very closely. Marco, by the way, use that ticket as an emotional hedge. And if you're getting attacked, a beer thrown on you, just pull out the Vegas night betting ticket to show them that you're neutral in the game with the jersey on. Marco, $9 Monday. What else you got going on at WagerTalk.com?
Well, you're going to see one of the plays that I gave out on the show for sure on that card. But I put all of my plays. I'm going to bundle some plays up tonight for $9 since you're going to get something that you already got here for free. So there's still going to be value there. Looking to have probably 3 or 4 plays total on the Monday night card. We've already got 2 lined up. And I'm still working on the card. You guys know it. Now you got to be a handicapper, an injury report watcher, and a COVID doctor before finalizing your card every day in sports betting. It definitely makes it a new dynamic in 2022.
Yeah, and that's why $9 Mondays are a great deal, but the direct subscriptions are a great deal for that reason as well. You can check in, you get instant alerts when the plays are posted from the cappers. And don't forget, it's the last chance also to get 3 days for $49 from any capper right now at WagerTalk.com. Marco, great to see you. Enjoy the games tonight, including the one you're going to, and we'll catch up with you soon on Mondays here on Wager Talk Today. Going to take a quick 20-second break, and when we come back, we're going to talk some NBA. So if you've been looking for some NBA action here, you don't have to wait much longer. Teddy Covers, big game breakdown, Jazz Lakers in 20 seconds.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com, and all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's see if we can do a little bit better than Friday's big game breakdown when the Bulls no-showed at home against the Warriors. As wrong a side as I'll ever give you for a big game breakdown. I think tonight we got a right one. Let's talk some Lakers and the Jazz. Right now, looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen, Utah 4.5-point favorite just about everywhere. Total sitting at 230.5. We talk a lot about MLK Day unders. We used to talk a lot about MLK Day unders. Certainly the early start games tend over the long term. You know, back in the 2000s, all you did was bet every MLK Day under, and you cashed year after year. This is a late game, and the under trend isn't what it was 5 or 10 years ago. Nonetheless, we're looking at under 230.5 tonight between two teams that are not likely to be pushing the pace. Both these squads have had defensive issues of late. The Lakers 5 straight overs. They were torched by Denver last time out, torched by Sacramento, torched by Memphis. The last 3 games, 133, 125, 127. All the talk is about defense. Frank Vogel, we got to get back to the drawing board, get our defense right. Russell Westbrook, we got to make a decision. We just got to play hard. Sometimes the schemes and how you play doesn't really matter. You just got to play hard sometimes. Teams are playing harder than us. Simple as that. Quotes from the Lakers side, okay, into the defensive acumen. For the Jazz side, look, they too have been flying over the total in recent ball games. Then what happened? Well, they flew over again yesterday with Rudy Gobert and Rudy Gay both back in the lineup. But it was because their offense, not because their defense. The defense was dynamite yesterday. And with Gobert back in the lineup, we can expect more of the same. Jordan Clarkson, quote, we know what we can do offensively. Sometimes I think we fall into feeling like we can outscore teams because of how powerful we are offensively. All the effort has to come on the defensive end. It's black and white. We got to do it at this point. So we have two teams that are both talking defense, two teams both off a series of bad defensive showings. We have a Jazz team on the second of back-to-backs. They're not going to push pace. The Lakers aren't pushing pace. This total at 230.5, it's just a notch or two too high for this better. Lakers and Jazz under 230.5. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Merrill.
Yeah, second biggest total on the board, I believe. 12 NBA games here for MLK Day and 6 day, 6 nights. So don't forget, there's a lot of daytime action here on Monday for both college hoops and NBA as it is a holiday. So don't miss some of those early tips in basketball. Going to get back to some football talk, though. We will have some college hoops in a few minutes with Bryan Leonard, WagerTalk.com. And Matt Josephs, I thought of you. Bryan's covering a couple of Ohio Valley Conference games, so you'll be very proud of him since you are mid-major Matt. Matt's one of the best when it comes to the mid-majors, obviously. It's in his name. He has to be. But he's also the prop master at sportsmemo.com. And, Matt, we're going to have some big props tonight. It's a standalone Monday Night Football playoff game, which is just fantastic. Throw one at me here. I know you're looking at some Cardinal receiving props. Throw one at us here. Let us know where you want to start.
Well, I'll start out here with where we were at last week. Last week I came on the show. Some people probably thought I was nuts. I said take the over for both kickers in the Raiders-Bengals game, and they both hit by halftime. So that was a fantastic thing. And I'm going to go back to the well here once again. I'm going to take over 1.5 field goals at plus 110 for Matt Prater. The Rams are allowing 1.8 field goals per game. Opponents have kicked an average of 3 field goals over the last 3 games against them. Matt Prater himself has 6 field goals against the Rams in 2 games and has had multiple field goals in 5 of his last 6 overall and 5 of his last 7 road games. So I think, look, this is going to be a close game tonight. We've seen Cliff Kingsbury as a type that will occasionally gamble, but when in doubt, he'll go to Matt Prater, who's been good so far this year. So I'm looking at the Cardinal side of things here, and I'm taking over 1.5 field goals for Matt Prater tonight. The trends say that he should get at least 2.
So I'm just curious why this is a plus money prop. Because as you describe it, it sounds like, yeah, you'll be laying a little bit of juice with this, be laying a little juice with this, but you're looking at a plus price on this one. Why do you think that is, man?
I think a lot of these field goal kicker props start out as pluses, and then it becomes more and more public. Like yesterday, Harrison Butker to kick over 1.5 field goals, oddly, was minus 150 because I think a lot of people thought that the Steelers were going to hold them. So I think a lot of the books start these things out at around even. They don't do the customary minus 110 on both sides for these because, once again, this is kind of like the Super Bowl thing. Nobody bets unders. Nobody's betting field goal props. Nobody's saying, ooh, yay. I mean, I was the only person in America on Saturday that was rooting for field goals in the first half of that game. And so this is, people root for touchdowns. They root for points. So I feel like, Teddy, the reason why is because people just don't see a lot of field goals happening in games. And that's why these things go to plus money.
Yeah, and Matt, I want to turn to one of those receiving props. Zach Ertz here for receiving yards, receptions, how you want to look at it. But your former Eagle, I know that's bittersweet for you, and your Eagles were eliminated yesterday. But, Ertz comes over to the Cardinals here this season. I think he had 4 receptions or less his first 4 games with Arizona a couple months ago, but he's been used a lot more recently. Do you think there's some value with receptions, receiving yards here? And also, I think always with the props, it's always tricky for the books to use the seasonal averages and then also, current form. And I feel like as a prop capper like you does very well with this. Current form probably carries a little bit more weight. So how are you looking at Zach Ertz?
I mean, look, all I have to say is the Rams just signed a safety who was retired. That's all there is to it. Like, the Rams safety issues are so massive that they went to a guy who was retired and is going to start this week and is going to play a ton of time. Like, how good is he going to be? And Weddle, who used to be with the Chargers, you look at Zach Ertz. He's averaging 10 targets a game the last four weeks of the season, 42 of them, 28 receptions. He's getting a ton of yards. He's become really reliable for Kyler Murray here. And you look at the Rams recently. Mark Andrews had a really big game. Gerald Everett had a really big game against the Rams, and I just think Zach Ertz is going to be open a lot. Now, you could take the yards. I got it at 53.5. You could potentially look at the over for his receptions. It's 5.5 at plus money, and then of course I would also sprinkle on the anytime touchdown. I think Zach Ertz is going to be a big part of the game plan. I think Jalen Ramsey's going to be outside, maybe with Christian Kirk. If not Christian Kirk, AJ Green, who we know they've had history together because they got into that brawl when AJ Green was a member of the Bengals and Ramsey was with the Jaguars, so there's some history there. So I think this means that Zach Ertz could have a really big game, especially in some of these short passes that he can stretch out to longer gains.
So Arizona has a bunch of quote-unquote name receivers, and yet the guy who you've highlighted for tonight, who we want to be betting on, yeah, we got some Zach Ertz, but the other guy is Antoine Wesley, who has, not a household name and not a guy who's at the top of Arizona's depth chart. And yet, of late, he's been a factor in that offense. Talk to me about Antoine Wesley, why we like him tonight, and why you think Kyler Murray is going to be looking for Antoine Wesley on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, look, his receptions were very tantalizing. 2.5 at plus 125. He's gone over that number the last couple of games. It's like 3 of his last 4. But I'm going to sprinkle a little on him to score a touchdown. He's a 6'4" receiver. He's a big body that we've seen Kyler Murray use. He's kind of like a hybrid wide receiver, tight end type, and he's starting to go to him in the red zone. And as you said, look, there is Christian Kirk, there is AJ Green, there is Zach Ertz, who obviously we think is going to have a big game. When you've got a guy who's 6'4", 6'5" down in the red zone, maybe like 5 or 6 yards out, I'm going to take a chance. And look, when I look at these touchdown score props, I'm just sprinkling like a half a unit, a quarter unit, and putting it on a bunch of guys who I think have some value. And I think depending upon, remember, this is the most important thing, and I know you guys harp on it, shop around, find the best book, find the best price, because there are some books that have like 10, 20 cent differences on their touchdowns. I think Antoine Wesley has a shot tonight. That big body could be very useful down in the red zone for Kyler Murray tonight.
Antoine Wesley, born in Las Vegas, Nevada. How do you like that, Teddy? So maybe that is a good play tonight. Played at Texas Tech, but was born in Las Vegas. And he scored 3 touchdowns the last 3 games, including touchdowns in 2 of those 3 games. So obviously they are going to him, and could be some value there with Wesley. Anytime touchdown plus money there. Matt also likes Ertz over receiving yards. He likes Prater over 1.5 field goals. Some Cardinal props for you Monday Night Football from the prop master, Matt Joseph, who, by the way, I mentioned is also excellent mid-major Matt, college basketball, 30-19 running college hoops. Matt, what else you got going on at sportsmemo.com?
Yeah, we got a couple of college basketball plays that are up, including a couple that are going in the afternoon. One in the LaSalle St. Joe game back in my old neck of the woods in Philadelphia. And there was another couple props in the potential prop package that I might add that's up there as well. Had a 10-7 weekend in the props. Hit some, lost some, whatever. We move on. We got another game tonight. And as always, sportsmemo.com.
That's right, sportsmemo.com. Don't forget Matt Joseph, sportsmemo.com. Also some great videos there. John Ryan's doing a great job there as well, getting some videos going there. So if you love the content here at WagerTalk TV, wagertalk.com, don't forget about Sports Memo TV and sportsmemo.com as well. And Teddy, we're going to keep chugging along. We talked about some college basketball. We're going to dive into some college basketball. And, I mentioned mid-major. Matt, he looks at those mid-major conferences. I just mentioned William & Mary earlier. The one thing about college basketball is there's a lot of teams out there you can handicap, and the cash is just as green when they cash. And Bryan Leonard's as good as anybody about finding some of those mid-major gems. He's going to look at a couple of Ohio Valley Conference games. And Bryan, we'll save the daytime start here. It's a little bit of a teaser for the way out for people that are watching us live. But let's look at the nighttime game first that you have. And this is Belmont, who's always been kind of one of the powers in the mid-majors, at SIU Edwardsville. Belmont having a nice season. Both teams play pretty fast. Could they cover the double digits? About a 13-point road favorite tonight.
Yeah, it's gone up a little bit overnight, 12.5 to about 13.5. But I'm a firm believer that Belmont comes out with fire tonight. They're often embarrassing, 82-60 home loss to Murray State. The post-game win percentage was only 23%. That's their second lowest of the season. Their worst was 12% when they played at LSU, and that was in a 30-point loss. So you got a team that's struggled in a couple of games, but they usually bounce back strong. They rank 11th in shot quality, points per possession offensively in the half court. That's going to be a big deal tonight. They're 6th in finishing at the rim, 2nd in post-up offensively. SIU ranks 315th in shot quality, points per possession offensively, so it's going to be Belmont naming the score here. They're 247th defensively in the half court. Once again, I just said 11th in the half court positively for Belmont, 247th defensively for SIU Edwardsville. They also rank 331st defensively against the post-up. Belmont's number 2 in the country offensively in the post-up. This is just a bad matchup for SIU. We're catching a Belmont team off of an embarrassing loss. I see a blowout here.
So I've got 2 follow-ups for this one, Bryan. First, I had Kenny White on Cover It with Teddy Covers on Sirius XM channel 159, the Sports Grid Radio Network, this past weekend. And Kenny isolated Belmont he's like, this is a bet-on team all the way. If you bet on Belmont, you're going to make money. Game in, game out, week in, week out. They're not valued as good as they are, as high as they should be in the betting markets right now. So I'm going to ask you if you agree with Kenny's assessment. And then Marco came on earlier and talked about the Vegas Golden Knights losing the game against Fleury, and then one loss turned into 2. Or maybe it was Merrill that brought that up. Said, hey, when one loss turned into 2. So do you worry about that tonight for Belmont, coming off a really bad game where one loss could turn into 2? And do you think Belmont is going to be a moneymaker like Kenny White did for bettors moving forward?
Belmont has been a solid team for a few years now. They've got a great coach. This is a team that expects to get to the tournament. This is a winning atmosphere in Belmont, coming off an embarrassing home loss, which makes it even worse. I really expect them to come out tonight, especially when you're playing. I've always loved to play teams that are quality teams after a loss, especially after a bad loss. For years, I've made a ton of money in the NBA doing that. NBA is a little bit different when you play 82 games, but I'm not worried about that at all. And as for the Golden Knights, I'm on the same side as Marco is here. The Knights are getting 4 players back tonight from COVID and injuries. They're still without Martinez and Patches. And Pacioretty is the key to the offense, so that is a concern. But Martinez is probably their best defensive player. They're still out, but they do get some guys back. Nicholas Waugh's back, their best scoring defensive player. Theodore's back in this game along with Pietrangelo. So I think based on the home ice that Vegas has had, and they've struggled as late, and the last 2 games have been canceled because of they playing the Canadian teams. I think this is just a great spot. And as you mentioned, Pittsburgh had that winning streak, but they're only 2-2 their last 4. last game on the road trip. We've seen this many times. They fall behind and you don't see them come back. I like the Knights in tonight's game. And unfortunately, I've never been able to see the Pittsburgh Penguins in person because Marco's from Pittsburgh and I give him the tickets. But he's such a nice guy. He told me anytime Cleveland's NHL team comes to town, he's not only going to let me see those games, he's paying for those games. So what a guy.
So, but I guess, Brian, what I was talking about not so much the Knights tonight. I didn't want to re-handicap the game. I was talking about the concept of a team that loses once, and then because it was a big game and they lost, they come out flat the next time, where a team loses the same game twice. That's what I was going for there. Any thoughts on that? You were like, I want Belmont off a loss. They're not losing 2 in a row.
Yeah, I never say a team's not going to lose 2 in a row. I just say that in that case, the team that has such good advantages in this game, off of an embarrassing loss, they'll win. I've never bought into this team can't lose 2 in a row. In fact, the NHL is one of those leagues where you see a team lose a lot because they've got a lot of players that are either on COVID or injury. Colorado right now is probably the best team in the NHL, just like what we thought coming into the season. But they had their own struggles this year because they've had guys out of the lineup. So NHL is one league where, and I always talk about it's the most lucky sport there is just because of the bounce of the puck. If you ever watched an NHL game, one period, one team will be dominating, and yet the score is even after that period. So it's totally different than the other sports, and underdogs always have a chance, and teams that are really good do get on losing streaks, but I think Vegas bounces out of it tonight.
Yeah, and do we dare say WagerTalk Today is moving lines? Because 3 minutes ago, Circa went from 13.5 to 14.5 on Belmont. Westgate went from 13.5 to 14. Literally 3 minutes ago, as you guys were talking hockey. So I like to think maybe some of our sportsbook supervisor fans and friends out there in Vegas are watching us live today. But yeah, I agree. Belmont is a good team off a really bad loss. That's an angle that's worked really well for me in college. It works in the pros as well. I think it works better in college because the other teams aren't all pro athletes, right? And the one thing you got to make sure with any of these situations that something hasn't fundamentally changed with the team that's off the bad loss, right? If everything's still there as a one-off game, then you do look for them to bounce back. So Bryan likes Belmont. By the way, Bryan does have NHL best bet today for $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com, talking hockey. Also a free NHL play on his page right now. So we're talking college hoops with Bryan, but if you want a free NHL play plus a best bet, WagerTalk.com, Bryan Leonard. Going to close out with some daytime action here. This game goes in about an hour and a half at 2 o'clock Eastern. A little treat for our live viewers here on WagerTalk Today. And stay in the Ohio Valley, Bryan. 2 losing teams, Tennessee State, Tennessee Tech. I'll throw it to you. How are you approaching this one between 2 below 500 teams?
Yeah, on Martin Luther King Day, there's not going to be too many people watching this afternoon game with the NBA going on. But Tennessee Tech, 0-9 on this season on the road. The Golden Eagles' highest expected win percentage in those games was 50. So none of that record of 0-9 is a fluke. They've just been really bad on the road. And Tennessee State hasn't been much better. The Tigers ranked 97th in defensive transition, which shuts down the only offensive positive for the Golden Eagles. They're pretty good in transition. Well, when I say pretty good about Tennessee Tech in transition, it means they're probably worse than average, but that's one of their better offensive outputs. Tennessee State's in the middle of the pack, 164th finishing at the rim offensively, which isn't bad. And a weakness for the opposition, Tennessee Tech, 320th defending the rim. This is a Tigers team that I think will be able to get to the rim, have some success. They're a much better shooting team. They haven't won in a while, but I think this team is better than what their record is. They're catching one right now, playing at home. I might think that they're probably a little bit better than Tennessee Tech overall. And so we're getting a slightly better team playing at home as an underdog, and the matchups point to Tennessee State.
But Tennessee Tech's the team's been covering numbers of late and coming off a win, no less, on the highway. Is that a concern for you here? I mean, I'm assuming that's why they're road chalk in this game. This isn't an easy game to price a favorite.
Covering numbers is one thing. A lot of these bad teams could do it as an underdog. In a pickup situation, -1, I don't want that team, especially when they haven't won a road game all season. I think this is a nice spot here for Tennessee State. And number 2 right now on the season in college basketball, number 1 in the NHL. Steve mentioned my play tonight. It's a 5% play in the NHL. 18-4 lifetime on these 5% plays in the NHL, and you can get it for only $9. 6 plays up overall. If you want to join me for the entire day, that's the better package. So it's $39 for everything, $9 for our 5% in the NHL today.
Yeah, I'll take it one better. The better package is the 3 days for $49. Get Tuesday and Wednesday for $10 when you get his one-day package. So yeah, loaded card. Once again, he's got the $9 5% best bet. That's normally $35 on its own. You're getting that for $9, but if you want everything, we have the one-day option for $39, the 3-day special, which is about to expire, for $49. All of us at WagerTalk.com. Bryan, great seeing you. Good luck tonight with all the games. We'll catch up soon each and every Monday here at Wager Talk Today. Bryan, Leonard. And Teddy, we're going to let you run here, man. You've got the opening line report, which is the best opening line report for the NFL playoffs that you're going to find anywhere all week. I highly recommend people check it out. Of course, we've only got 3 of the 4 games lined, right? Because the final game goes tonight between the Rams and Cardinals. Teddy, I see that you've got a couple NBA best bets for $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. I've also got an NBA best bet up there right now in a different game for $9 Monday. College hoops, number 1 ranked the last 2 years for myself, Steve Merrill. We're still working on the college card for Monday as we speak. Teddy, I'm going to let you close this out. We'll be back tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, as always, right here on Wager Talk TV. A quick reminder, we're almost at 92,000 subscribers. In fact, maybe we hit it while we were doing the show. But click the like, the thumbs up, of course. But if you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds to do so. It helps us out tremendously, keeps all this great content free and daily here on this channel. And don't forget, if you haven't checked out my NFL Fade the Public video, the Cardinal Ram in-depth review is still available right here on this channel as well. Wager Talk TV. Like, subscribe, and comment below. Let us know who you like on the Monday daytime and nighttime card on MLK Day. Teddy, we'll be back here tomorrow. Take us out.
We sure will. Steve just mentioned the NFL opening line report coming up next on this Wager Talk TV channel at the top of the hour. And of course, Steve and I will be back tomorrow. He said at 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and then, enjoy the games and good luck on MLK Day. Cheers.
Why pay the regular price when you can save money on every purchase with WagerBucks at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo? WagerBucks are now eligible for use on not just daily, 3-day, and 7-day passes, but all long-term and seasonal packages up to 1 full year. There are tons of options available for every budget and size of bettor. From low as $100 gets $110, all the way up to $2,500 gets you $3,000. Save every day on every pick you buy with WagerBucks.